It's been a week or so since the Elite Spec beta was finished, and I've been paying attention to what people have been saying about each of the new Elite Specs. And even though a lot of people are happy, there's a lot of people who are complaining and saying that these new Elite Specs are not what they were expecting, and they're a little bit disappointed by them. This was very apparent to me also in my tier list video comparing new Elite Specs with all the Elite Specs. My comments went absolutely insane, especially about my take that Luminary is pretty good. I'm not gonna retract that, I love Luminary. Don't insult my favorite Elite Specs, or else. That made me think, is there actually a difference between the new Elite Specs and the old specs? Are they worse quality? Or what's happening here? Why are people not satisfied? Well, this is what this video is gonna be about. So subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Go to my Ko-Fi if you want to support my content. Go to my Twitch to watch me live every morning, and let's get into it. The first thing that was very confusing to me was that I really didn't get why people were mad about certain Elite Specs, like Evoker or Antiquary or Luminary. I thought that these playstyles were very fun, and yeah, they had some issues, but I didn't really get it. And then I saw this tier list from the GOAT, Wooden Potatoes, and I started to understand a little bit further what this is about. When I saw this, I didn't really get it. Why is Amalgam this low? Why is Paragon this high? Why is Evoker, Luminary, and Antiquary that low? I didn't quite get it. But I think a lot of people actually consider the roleplay, the theme of the Elite Spec, way more importantly than I do. They care about how the idea of spec interacts with the world, the mechanics of the class, and the spec itself. And as for me, as long as the mechanics are fun and they make sense with the spec, I'm okay, but they care really about the lore. Luminary doesn't make any sense in terms of lore, for example. It just doesn't really work. Antiquary, I mean, this is Indiana Jones' Script Wizard. I like the idea, but it's very out there, okay? I completely understand why some people don't enjoy it, even if I like it mechanically. Even something like Amalgam in some ways doesn't really make that much sense, because it's this kind of like symbiote Spider-Man kind of ooze that for some reason is engineer. It's very out there, right? So I understand why some people might not actually enjoy this roleplay. But then you have things like Troubadour or Paragon that do make a lot of sense with lore, for example, and then middle grounds like Ritualist that maybe don't have as many things to make it feel like an actual Ritualist with all the spirits and minions. And considering Wooden Potatoes tier list, this makes a lot more sense. The real good ones in terms of roleplay are Galshot, Troubadour, and Paragon. Everything else, I mean, I would probably put Evoker a bit higher than this, but Conduit, Luminary, and Antiquary, yeah, I could definitely see a lot of people not being happy about that. And well, did other Elite Specs used to be actually better? In terms of roleplay, yeah, I think so. We have things like Firebrand, like Reaper, like Daredevil. Almost every class has very, very cool ideas. Druid, Holosmith, oh my god, there's so much here. But realistically, I mean, can we really expect them to do something original after like 10 plus years? At some point, you're gonna start running out of ideas and going a little bit more wacky. Even in End of Dragons, most of the Elite Specs were not very well received, even in terms of roleplay. Things like Harbinger, things like Bladestorm, things like Virtuoso, they were a little bit out there and a lot of people didn't enjoy them. And it makes sense. In HOT, the game was doing well. It had everything coming for it. So they could just focus on doing Elite Specs in a chill way. You have Necromancer, you become Reaper. Super chill, makes sense. Warrior, Berserker, Ranger, Druid. It just did one thing. Path of Fire started, and when Path of Fire was here, things were a little bit more scary. The game wasn't making enough money, they were trying to bring it back, so of course they were gonna go for insane stuff that would break the game, like Firebrand, like Scourge, that they do way, way more than what normal specs used to do. And then End of Dragons came out, and things started getting a little bit more sus. You get things like Harbinger, that is like Monk, Alchemist, but it's not really one or the other, it's like both in a weird way. You have Virtuoso that's kind of musical, but not really, and it's like Anti-Mesmer, but not really, and Troubadour comes in, and like it's just the better version of this. You have the Catalyst, that it's supposed to be about animals, you have the Spheres, but like it's just like, everything seems a little bit more like a mess compared to the older ones. And then the same thing happens with Visions of Eternity. You got Luminary, who is supposed to be a fiery guardian to summon weapons with a lantern, but the lantern doesn't really do anything. The Antiquary is supposed to be this like Indiana Jones pawn shopper or whatever about antiques, but it's kind of a mixture between both, since it's not really Indiana Jones and it's not really an antiquary. What? The theme is just all over the place in a lot of the specs, and it just seems to be out of trying to bring a lot to it, but then just falling short with just focusing on one thing. Unlike the Gale Shot, that is just, you know, it's trying to be a ranged ranger, and that's what it does. That's it, nothing else. Sometimes less is more, and I think this is one of those situations. But there's one more issue and reason why the new elite specs don't feel like something different, don't feel as different as all the elite specs used to feel, and that is weapons. Back in the day, when elite specs were released, they came with a weapon, a specific weapon for that elite spec, and you could only use that weapon on that elite spec, making that weapon be part of the way that you played this new addition to the game. But now, after Secrets of the Obscure, that is uncoupled of the elite specs, and now you can use, for example, Rifle from Mech on any build on Engineer, or Greatsword on Revenant on every build on Revenant, making it, that weapon, be part of the class and not the elite spec. And this means that whenever we get a new elite spec on this new expansion, it feels like you're getting half of the actual thing. Sure, you have new utilities, sure, you have a new gameplay, but you still have the same weapons that you were using before. So, does it really feel like something new? A little bit, but not enough. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why people are a little bit disappointed of these new additions to the game. And it's weird because we got the new weapons on, before this new elite spec. We got spears. And if spears were tied up to this new elite specs, it probably would have been fine. It would feel like you're playing something different, even if it's the same thing we have right now. And I do think there's a little bit that Arena could do even now to make it so these new elite specs have certain advantages with certain weapons that are not used as much, so even though they're not tied, you still feel like you're playing a new game style. But I do think right now it doesn't feel that way, even if a lot of the new mechanics of these new elite specs are things that we've never seen before, like the single attunement on Evoker, like Gale Shot, using walls that you want to use your arrows through to do more damage with them, like the Troubadour, trying to keep up all of your instruments at all times to get better attributes. Like the Luminary changing the buffs that they give to themselves and your allies depending on the weapon they use last. Or the Amalgam being able to get different buffs depending on the customization they do on their tool belt. All of these things are super cool ideas that honestly seem very complex to compared to other elite specs. Even the new weapons like spears have this kind of stuff. But at the same time, it doesn't feel like it's enough, because sometimes complexity and cool design is not enough to make our brain, the player brain, feel like it's different enough. That being said, I think there's one last point, a little bit more of a meta point, but a very important one. In reality, the new expansion is exciting, but it's mainly exciting because of the new elite specs. In other ways, it's the same we've gotten throughout Secrets of the Obscure and Yantar Wilds. Same amount of content, same amount of story, maybe a little bit more, but it still gives us the same amount of fear that this might actually not be enough for us as a player base. But with the new elite specs, we're like, oh, that is new, that is super impactful, that can bring Guild Wars 2 back. And this means that all of our hopes are on these new elite specs, and all of the hype is on them. So as soon as one little thing just doesn't work, all that hope, all that hype, all that hope, if you will, instantly gets destroyed. And people get disappointed a lot. Because, wow, if these new elite specs are not good, that means that the rest of the expansion is not gonna be good either. And that's a pretty scary thought to have. Let's be real, the latest expansions weren't the best. The latest patches, like Vavanissos, they were worse than just not the best. So we need something back. We need some hope to bring the game back, and this is what these new elite specs are. And if they are not gonna be super good, and if people don't perceive them as super good, all the negativity from before is gonna be funneled into this one thing, even if it's not really their fault. I loved the new elite specs. I think they're one of the best ones we've ever gotten compared to the old ones, honestly. I think most of them are A+, and they can start getting even more than that. I think Paragon has the possibility of being something like S+. I think Antiquary can definitely get to S. I think Conduit could be remade into being A instead of the worst thing ever. But I also recognize that there is a lot of fear in the community for what's going to happen next, and I have that fear too, but it's not because of the new elite specs. It's because of the other things, like whether the story will be good, whether the metas will be good, and whether we'll get enough on this expansion to, well, keep people happy, instead of then complaining about not getting any content and it being bad at the same time on my Twitch chat and my YouTube chat. And I'm not blaming you. I would do the same thing, but, you know, I would rather you guys being happy with the game instead of not being happy. That being said, I do think a lot of you guys really like the new elite specs. Not everybody is negative about them. I made this poll, for example, and look at them. Most of them are in S+. Even with all elite spec tier list, you can see here that we have a lot of them too. We have Amalgam on S+, we have Gelshot on S+, we have Antiquary and... okay, look. Antiquary, Conduit, and Luminaire on C and D, but the rest is A+. It's not bad. Ritualist on B. Oh, come on, guys. What? Okay, there's a bit more contention on it than I thought. But you guys voted for this, okay? And some of these specs are very, very good. So I really think that Arena can bring them back and really finish them for the next expansion, for the release of it. But yeah, I think it's important to talk about something like this to understand where our feelings coming from, what they mean, and, well, how can we tackle this the next time it happens. And this way you might actually maybe find a little bit more peace on what the new elite specs have given us and what you're expecting the game to be and what the future looks like and what you want the future to look like. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you have any other reasons that you feel like I didn't talk about, I've been thinking a lot about this, so I really wanted to make this video, and well, there you go. See you guys around. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Go to my Twitch to watch me live every morning. Subscribe to sorry, not subscribe. Go to my Ko-Fi if you want to support my content, like everybody here. NTZ, Selidalian, Miragon, Taterboyz, Nekomaiko, Tilt, Cwix, Minimarch, Butterball, question marks, Say, Skittle, Lakata, Damongus, Mambo, and Cleveland Dangit, Snapzor, and Kiba. And see you guys around. Love you all. Ciao, ciao.